Hello, Wolfpack. Good news. There's going to be a sequel video game to the hit game series Life is Strange, which we will be playing on our channel. I have played the first game, and all my gameplay videos are available to see on the channel. If you haven't seen or played the game at all, then just a heads up, there will be spoilers in this video. You have been warned. So let's celebrate with a list discussing the best parts of what made the first game so great in the first place. This is my list on the top 5 best qualities of Life is Strange. Number 5. The time travel power. In case none of you are aware of this, the game has our hero Max Caulfield gaining the ability to control time and using that ability to save the world. Though it is never explained where these powers come from, it was one of the coolest aspects of the game. The graphics look so surreal whenever we use it, giving off some very unique visuals. It's honestly one of the few parts where we want to play the game and not focus on the story part. Whenever you screw up in the game, this power will immediately come into play so the player can go back in time to fix a mistake. You can either use these powers to make Max look good, or use it for some mischievous fun. And let's not forget all those times we use it to save Chloe. Either way, this power looks amazing, and it's what ultimately made this game something more. Number 4. Saving Kate from suicide. This was the part of the story that finally made me care about the characters. I personally thought that the first episode for Life is Strange was an awful beginning to a sweet game, but the second episode is where it finally got good for me, because we at last got an emotional scene between two great characters. Kate Marsh appeared to be a minor side character when we first encounter her, but the game cleverly drops hints that Kate needs help, and Max bonding with her would save her life. I actually grew to like Kate after this heart-wrenching scene where we're forced to save her. Oh, without time travel powers too, just to make it all the more tougher. This was the first time that made me feel for the characters, and made me want to explore the game. Yeah, if you do save Kate, they drop in the lesson on suicide being horrible, but it does feel more realistic and less over the top as how most video games would do this. Now, you can fail to save Kate, and if you do, then it'll haunt Max and Blackwell Academy for the rest of the game, showing that your choices do matter in this case. I don't mean to brag, but I never lost during this, since Kate is one of my favorite characters, and I feel that saving her life is just as emotional than her tragically succeeding at killing herself. It's a very powerful moment in a game because of how well it handles the concept of teen suicide. Definitely reminds us all that life is worth living. Number 3. The Nightmare World. Now this is easily the part where the actual gameplay got fun. For a long time, the game focuses on the story, which is fine since the story is just as awesome as everything else in the game. But for gamers, this is when it got fun to actually play. When Max realizes that the tornado she's been having vision of is coming for Arcadia Bay due to her time travel powers. I guess it's a time-nado in the end. Max desperately does all she can with her amazing powers to prevent the time-nado from ever starting. So after she uses her powers to go back to the past, present, and future multiple times, the fabric of reality begins falling apart. Max ends up dropped in a warped reality that resembles her mind, and she must escape her nightmares in order to fix her mistakes and overcome the time-nado. Now, some people didn't like the Nightmare World, but I for one found it incredibly fun since we get to look inside the mind of our hero. It's so dark and twisted that I can't help but admire it. For some people, this level dragged on a little too long, but I thought it was great since I felt the exploration dragged on just as long as this did. The Nightmare World is a trippy level that the game studio managed to make on a low budget as their grand finale, and I enjoy it for providing us with a terrifying last level where Max got to be stealthy for once. Plus, it has dark versions of all the characters mocking their own lines, and that's just too funny to pass over. Number 2. The story. I know I'm probably not being specific enough since the story is long and involves loads and loads of characters, so I'll focus on the two major parts of the story arc. One of the highlights of this game is a murder mystery surrounding the school. A girl named Rachel Amber has mysteriously disappeared, and her best friend Chloe is working with the hero Max to find and save her. Yeah, big shock, she's already dead. But it's not just about finding Rachel or Rachel's corpse, since the real goal is to find the serial killer that's been attacking kids at school. It gets very intense and honestly super scary when we get closer to finding out more about the real villain. Of course, we learn more about the characters too as we move through the 5-part story, with everyone coming into question. The game also tries to throw us off track by tossing in red herrings our way to fool us on who the killer really is, some of them obviously being set up, and some of them being surprisingly different once we got to know them. It really helps that the villain was a colorful character once we do learn who it is, making it have a great impact, even if the genre-savvy gamers guessed exactly who the killer was. The second half of this story is all about stopping the Dontnod. Throughout the game, the other characters are thinking that the end of the world is coming, and given that every episode has bizarre weather patterns, even the main characters seem to realize that the Dontnod is an equally huge force to take down. The game apparently takes place in less than 5 days, so they have a lot of pressure on them, pushing the seriousness of stopping the apocalypse. Though the finale does have the controversial final choice, it looks like the company put more effort in one ending over the top. I thought the story was done well for the most part, at least when they weren't overdoing the stupid teen lingo. Nevertheless, the story showed us all why life is strange. Here are some honorable mentions that you might have wanted to see but didn't quite make it in. Nathan's Beatdown. Nathan Prescott is easily the most hated character in the game, and it was satisfying to see our friend Warren kick his butt. Mr. Jefferson as the villain. It's always the person you'd least suspect, and to see this guy go from the radical hipster teacher into the psychotic serial killer was pretty disturbing. No sequel bait. It's honestly rare to see a game these days that doesn't end on a sequel hint. I'm so glad Life is Strange kept itself compressed as its own story. True, they got a new game coming up, but it is a prequel, and it was dropped on us by surprise. And finally, we reach our number 1. Max Caulfield as the hero. I really liked having Max as our main character, and I know what you're all probably thinking. This is really our number 1, whiny millennial hipster from every teen drama ever? Yeah, Max does have some cliched moments and awkward teen angst, but I found her more relatable when they gave us her sympathetic moments. Max is more like a normal person than anyone else in this game. She's shy, she's a dreamer, she's not cool, she's not a super hot person from an action story. Max is the closest thing I've seen to a normal teenage girl in a video game. Well, except for the fact that she has time travel powers and actually likes the Final Fantasy movie. That's just too unrealistic. But on a serious note, I've actually heard rumors that the writers from Life is Strange said that their game was shot down by many video game companies, all because they were told the game would fail for having a normal teenage girl as the hero. Some companies even went out of their way to say that the game would have been better if Max was a boy. Nobody thought Life is Strange would be good at all because the writers wanted the female Max as our protagonist and not a guy. Wow, I am so glad that they stuck to their guns and told those companies to screw off, because that is horrible. Just because Max is a normal girl going through puberty is a reason why this wasn't published by the big-named game companies. But the joke's on them, because Life is Strange proved to be a critically acclaimed hit, with Max gaining a lot of love. That's only one reason why I enjoyed Max. She has some funny moments, some awesome moments, and is a very complex character. Truth be told, I was kind of surprised that Chloe wasn't the main character at first, and Max wasn't the dorky sidekick. I've seen so many video games where a female hero is this epic bad girl like Chloe, but to see the lovable nerd Max take the lead was executed stupendously. Thankfully, she gets much more character every episode as the story goes on, but I found Max to be one of the greatest protagonists ever. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, or just tune in for more videos posted here on Wolf and Friends Gaming. I'm your host, Catastrophe, and I hope to see you all next time.